Please take a seat, everyone. Thank you very much indeed, sixth former James Watson, for playing the organ for the last time in the prep school, and he's done so on a number of occasions, always exceptionally. Thank you very much, James. And a very warm welcome, everyone, to our first proper speech day since 2019. It's brilliant to see everyone in here. It's worth a quick reminder of the aim of this morning, which is to remember some of the wonderful things which have happened this year and celebrate the successes of our boys. In addition to today's largely academic prize giving, we will also have an end-of-year assembly on the last Friday of term in which we celebrate musical, sporting and co-curricular exploits. As head, it is my role and my particular honour after the recent hiatus to host proceedings. And I'll offer just a few reflections on the year, which will be enlivened by contributions from the head boy, some music from three of our exceptional Year 8 boys, readings from the deputy head boys, and a few words from our guest of honour. Our guest of honour this year is Alex Waller. Alex has crafted a career for himself, playing rugby for Northampton Saints at an exceptionally high level for the last 13 years and over 330 appearances. He attended Wellingborough School and has played with OB's ex-Bedford schoolboys throughout his career. He has captained Saints, lifting the Premiership trophy and the European Challenge Cup in that time. He has also represented England Saxons and has been in the England squad. He holds the record for the most consecutive appearances in the Premier League history. Not bad for a man playing as a prop in the front row cauldron. We welcome him and look forward to hearing his story later on. I would also like to introduce you to the platform party, from your left to right. Head boy, George Knight. Deputy head, Miss Charlotte Hayward. Guest of honour, Mr. Alex Waller. Bedford School Headmaster, Mr. James Hodgson. Deputy Chair of Governors and Harper Trust Trustee, Mr. Phil Wallace. Governor and Chair of the Pastoral and Recreational Committee, Dr. Andrew Edwards. Harper Trustee and Governor, Dr. Anne Egan. Governor and Chair of the Marketing and External Affairs Committee, Mrs. Jenny Pelling. And our staff-elected Governor, Mr. Rob Campbell. It's been a brilliant year when viewed on its own, but even more so when weighed against the frustrations of last year and even earlier this academic year. It's extraordinary to think that even as recently as the autumn term, we were still operating in bubbles. And one day, I hope the word bubbles will once again mean effervescent soap and champagne as opposed to isolated groups of children. Last term, we still had assemblies online and staff meetings online. The pandemic was tough, and in society at large, we have seen perhaps inevitable gaps emerging in children's learning, in their independence and their socialisation. However, our teachers have quite dazzlingly gone above and beyond during the pandemic to limit those gaps and post-pandemic to strengthen these areas. And positives have emerged, encouraging us to look at the world in a new light. How we treat each other is in the spotlight, with a greater focus on diversity and inclusion. And our own well-being and kindness, the last a value we always hold closest to our hearts, and one we will continue to promote with our boys. There has been a greater and often more positive use of technology, and our boys have been remarkable and learned how to be resilient and adaptable and flexible. And I hope that the boys appreciate the benefits of going through and learning from tough times. The pandemic also glaringly highlighted the importance of being present and together as we are today. Boys, staff and parents worked brilliantly together at remote and blended learning, but undoubtedly learning together face-to-face and in person is significantly better. And we are enjoying it more than ever. And you can see it, hear it and feel it in the sheer energy, the will to live life to the full and the laughter in every corridor and corner of the playground. And the importance of learning in general cannot be underestimated. Firstly, good manners. A man was standing at an airport check-in desk behind a very loud and aggressive passenger, full of his own self-importance, for whom nothing was right. He was abusive to the check-in person, who dealt brilliantly with him. The man behind complimented the check-in person on the way in which he dealt with the difficult passenger. "Thank you, sir," he replied. "We are trained to cope with any situation calmly and professionally. In a short while, you and that gentleman will be flying to London, and his luggage will be flying to New York." Secondly, imagination. For example, the Year 3 pupil who was being asked to explain how clouds are formed. Clearly struggling for an answer, he eventually declared, "I don't know how clouds are formed, but clouds know how to do it, and that's the important thing." Quick thinking and numeracy. Member of the maths department, a Year 4 pupil. If you put your hand in your right trouser pocket and took out 10 pence, and you put your hand in your left trouser pocket and took out another one, what would you have? Year 4 pupil: someone else's trousers? Or the former headmaster who told me, "I always think there are 3 sorts of people, those who can do maths and those who can't." Let's think about that. Paying attention to others is important too. And the story is told of a famous conductor, Sir Thomas Beecham, who was attending a very high-powered reception in the 1930s and found himself in conversation with someone whose face was very familiar, but whose name he simply couldn't recall. He subtly tried to work out the lady's identity thus: "So, are you well?" "Yes, thank you." "And the children?" "Yes, they're fine." "And your husband, is he well?" "Yes, quite well, thank you." "And is he in the same line of business?" "Yes, he's still king." In a moment, George Knight, our head boy, will give a report of the year, pointing out just a few of our many highlights. Before he does that, I would just like to say a huge well done and thank you to all in our community in our first proper post-pandemic year. This term in particular has been busy and fun. All of the events we usually spread out throughout the year seem to have been jammed into this term, and it's been stunning to see what we've achieved. 2 musicals, a summer concert, informal concerts, poetry recitals, post-exam programme including wonderful Come Dine With Me evenings, and house drama in a new way which involved every single boy in the school. All of our co-curricular activities help us to learn so much about ourselves and about each other and life in general. Self-respect, self-expression, creativity, leadership skills, teamwork, and of course, how to win and lose with equal grace. Many of our future skills are introduced and reinforced in this way. And here, to remind us of just how good one strand of our co-curricular activities has been, is the first of our 2 musical performances, which we're going to hear today. This one is Harry Brown and Charlie Gibson singing "Consider Yourself" by Lionel Bart.
Go
So like our summer concert on Thursday, that was a wonderful reminder of just how good the music is. Really, really well done, boys. Just shows what a bit of hard work and dedication can do. And now we are going to hear the report of the year from our head boy, George Knight.
Headmasters, governors, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Bedford Prep School today for our speech day. It's an honour to be speaking to you as head boy, and also, as Mrs. Silk says, it's such a pleasure for us to all be together again in the Great Hall to celebrate boys' achievements. I've really enjoyed the challenge of being head boy over the course of this year. One of my responsibilities is to set an example for the younger boys here at the prep school, which is why today I'll be ensuring that I do not look at any of my friends, as I can guarantee they'll be trying to make me laugh. This year has been packed with accomplishments, but I think it's worth noting that this year has been so fulfilling because we've had an uninterrupted year of schooling. We've once again been able to enjoy being together in the classroom and on the sports field. It's been wonderful to feel the sense of community and camaraderie that really can only be achieved face to face. Who would have thought that young boys, when given a choice, would actually choose to get up at the crack of dawn and come into school? But come into school we did, with 100 new pupils all ready to get stuck in, not just to academic learning, but to the enormous range of activities that our school offers. The sheer breadth of opportunities is astounding. There are almost 100 clubs, societies, and ensembles, and all boys are encouraged to try new things and find new passions. During my time in the prep, I've taken part in everything from steel pans to fives, from board games club to playing a tree in the musical Baba Yaga. The Bedford School ethos is to get involved and to challenge yourself to grow by trying new things. For as Thomas Edison said, opportunity is missed by most people because it's dressed in overalls and looks like work. We're certainly not afraid of hard work here, and that leads to the successes that we're celebrating today. Sport has always been a huge part of the life in the prep school, and this year, with a full calendar of competitive fixtures returning, we savoured it all the more. Starting with rugby and the return of contact, the under-13s in particular, having grown noticeably, were eager to test out their new strength with some quality tackling. It was a great season for the under-13As, only being bested by Caldecott. The under-12As and under-11As were both unbeaten all season, an incredible feat, which assures us that the future of prep school rugby is really looking bright. In the spring term, we moved to sevens, played by years 7 and 8. The under-12s and 13s took part in many festivals, such as Warwick and Rosslyn Park, providing a great learning experience for this much faster-paced game. Our major sport in the spring term is of course hockey, and all the years were busy on the Astro, honing in their skills. Bedford was lucky enough to be the host for the IAPS Hockey Regionals in both the under-11 and under-13 competitions. Perhaps the home advantage helped, as both the under-11 and under-13 under-11 and under-13 teams progressed into the national tournaments. The under-11s had a tough draw on the finals day, and despite playing with heart, they had to be content with the group stages. The under-13s travelled to Haileybury, and after some exciting matches, finished the day in the 3rd and 4th playoff. We were determined to come home with some silverware, and had to win this match. It went to extra time, and the superb golden goal finish from Rory Stewart-Jones clinched the bronze medals and the podium finish. In the summer term, our efforts turned towards cricket. All years were in action and raring to go, providing another successful season. The first 11 had a good run in the IAPS tournaments, progressing to the semi-final stages up in York. Sadly, we had to be content with 4th place, but a fun night away in the Premier Inn was had by all. Other standout performances this year include the under-13 table tennis team, who are county champions, the under-13 cross-country team, who put in some superb runs to come 2nd overall in the IAPS national competition. Well done to Charlie Gandesha, Isaac Radden, Barclay Barnacote and Henry Pass on those silver medals. Year 8 enjoyed taking part in the Athletics League alongside the girls' school this summer, and in the recent district finals, the boys were victorious in a nail-biting finisher which came down to the relay races. The first time in the event's history that Bedford Prep has won. Badminton continues to be a real strength here at the Prep School, continuing a long history of national success. The under-13s had not one, but 2 successful teams represented in the IAPS Nationals. Many congratulations to Josh George and Ben Madaford on their bronze medals, and to Leo Matthew and Jack Down, who claimed runner-up position and brought home the silver. There have also been successes in swimming, with 9 boys from the under-11, under-12 and under-13 age groups taking part in the recent IAPS Swimming Championships at the London Aquatic Centre. Ben Madaford and Ollie Meyer both coming 9th in the country for 50-metre butterfly and 50-metre freestyle, respectively. Barclay Barnacote achieved a spectacular 2nd place in the 50-metre breaststroke. All relay teams and individual swimmers achieved faster times than they qualified in. An incredible achievement. Turning to music and drama. This year provided a welcome return to live in-person performance. We're blessed to have amazing performance spaces here, and these were once again brimming with the energy and excitement of live performance. Music has always been a key part of the life of a Bedford schoolboy, supported by a fantastic team of teachers and visiting music professionals who develop each boy's talents. 45% of boys here at Bedford Prep are learning to play one of 25 different instruments and take part in 22 varied ensembles that come together to perform as the Prep School Orchestra. These skills were on display at the superb autumn and summer concerts featuring Harry Brown, Charlie Gibson and Aaron Turnbow. Although, sadly, house singing wasn't able to go ahead this year, we were able to come together in the chapel for our marvellous carol services, which definitely pleased my mum, as she says it makes Christmas Christmas. Drama this year has been equally amazing. We are lucky to be able to draw on the talents of many able young actors, with over 80 of our boys gaining a 1st, 2nd or 3rd place at the Bedfordshire Festival. We've been treated to a workshop with the Royal Shakespeare Company to inspire the Year 7 and 8 for their Shakespeare monologue competition. This was won by Aaron Turnpal in Year 8 and Nathaniel Fletcher in Year 7. The younger boys also got involved with their poetry recitation. Every single boy takes part, developing their public speaking and performance skills. The Quarry Theatre, Bedford School's very own working theatre, was host to a superb production of Wow What a Year, the first musical for a few years. It was an all-singing, all-dancing performance, enjoyed by the audiences and performers alike. House drama took place a few weeks ago in a completely new and different way, with the whole school coming off timetable to create a play in a day. Every boy in the house was assigned a role, from catering and set design to marketing and acting. It was an amazing day, and the standard of the productions were top-notch. The winners were Howard, but congratulations to all involved. Another important feature of the houses is to raise money for their chosen charities, which we did this year in very diverse ways, from Howard's Silly Walking to Bunyan's Ultra Challenge and Harper's Bowl-Off to Whitbread's 5k goal. Overall, a tremendous sum of over £12,000 has been raised for the 4 charities. In this Platinum Jubilee year, we're reminded of the importance of service to our communities, and this is at the heart of our school's culture. And so, the Year 8's time at the Prep School is all but over. We look back fondly at our experiences here. Some of us started as tiny 7-year-olds, completely overawed by the sheer size of the estate. And some of those Year 8 boys, surely they weren't only 13 years old. However long or short our time here, we've all had the incredible privilege to be Bedford Prep School boys, and we take the lessons that we have learnt forward into the upper school. We've been treated to a memorable finish to our time here in the Prep in the form of the post-exam programme, an amazing few weeks, filled with talks, life skill sessions, Come Dine With Me events, and the fantastic bushcraft trip, where we discovered that Mrs. Bovis is adept with archery. However, as Mrs. Loader pointed out, she has an unfair advantage because she's already got bow in her name. A particular thanks must go to Mrs. Loader for organising all these events and for her super negotiating skills, having rescued the bushcraft trip from the jaws of disaster. We should send her to the UN. This morning is all about celebrating the many achievements of our boys, both academic and outside of the classroom. However, none of this would be possible without the enormous efforts of our teachers and staff. They put in so much time and effort and are so dedicated to helping us achieve our full potential. Our successes are a reflection of their hard work. So I'd ask all of you to join me in giving all of the prep school staff a huge round of applause. So it just remains for me to thank my fellow Year 8s. I feel very proud to be part of such an impressive group of lads. In particular, I'd like to thank the prefects and deputy head boys, Josh and Abvick, for all their hard work and support over the course of this year. We really enjoyed being at the top of the school, so it's about time for us to experience being at the bottom again. Let's approach this new chapter with energy and enthusiasm, prepared as we are from our time here in the prep. For as that not so well-known philosopher, Arnold Schwarzenegger, has pointed out, you can't climb the ladder of success with your hands in your pockets. So, let's grab all the opportunities on offer next year and start climbing that ladder. Thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you so much, George. That was a seriously good and heartwarming speech. And always worth ending a speech with words of wisdom from a great philosopher. Thank you very much indeed. George embodies the ideal Bedford Prep School boy, hard-working, eager to be involved in school activities, kind, responsible and fair. It's often said that the busiest boys are the most successful, and that certainly echoes true for George, who we'll shortly see be presented with 3 prizes. George mentioned his teachers, and I hope you don't mind me taking a minute of my own to praise our teachers. I've already talked about their superb efforts during the pandemic, and we are all aware in this room how important educating our children is, and what a craft it is. One of my favourite novelists, John Steinbeck, believed that teaching might even be the greatest of arts, since the medium is the human mind and spirit. And our teaching staff have worked tirelessly, at times under great pressure over the last few years, dealing in the medium of the human mind and spirit, to inspire, motivate, point in the right direction, and sometimes equally important, to point out what boys shouldn't be doing. And I echo George's heartfelt thanks to all of our teachers, and to all of the staff who work in the prep school, to our amazing office team, IT team, librarian, and all maintenance, ground staff and porters, who together make this such a fun and energetic place to be. And I take this opportunity to say goodbye and thank you to 2 of our teachers. Firstly, Mrs. Leeson. She's taught at Bedford School for 17 years, with the last 6 being in the prep school. A generation of pupils will be the better for her expertise in maths and hockey, amongst other things. In fact, she is currently our only international sports player on the staff. And Miss Orme finishes a very successful maternity cover teaching Latin and classics, stepping in as form tutor, teaching a successful knitting club, as well as many other roles, and volunteering for everything with kindness, vivacity and sheer energy. She takes up a full-time position at Downside School in Somerset. She and all prep school staff may recognise the outcome of this story. A man is flying in a hot air balloon and realises he is lost. He reduces height and spots someone down below. He lowers the balloon further and shouts, "Excuse me, can you tell me where I am?" The man below says, "Yes, you're in a hot air balloon hovering 30 feet above the field." "Ah, you must be an engineer," said the balloonist. "I am," replies the man. "How do you know?" Well, says the balloonist, everything you've told me is technically correct, but it's no use to anyone. The man below looks up and says, you must be a headmaster. I am, replied the balloonist. How did you know? Well, says the man, you don't know where you are or where you're going, but you expect me to be able to help. You're in the same position you were before we met, but now it's my fault. Thanks for laughing at that. Luckily, the rest of the SLT and the teachers of the school do know where we're going. And a big thank you to our wider community also, our governors who continue to support and challenge and put forward the parents' point of view all the time. And talking of our parents, I've never met and never come across a school community as strong as ours. And I would like to thank our parents for their tremendous support, as witnessed in many areas, including the amazing support of the Year 8 post-exam programme that George mentioned. I'd especially like to thank our Prep Guild, most notably Emily Hudson, for everything they do, including setting up a stunning ball for 400 revellers this evening. It's nearly time for the prizes to be awarded, and in a moment I'll invite Deputy Head Miss Hayward to let us know who has won this year's prizes. Beforehand, we're going to hear our second musical performance of the morning. Arian Soenpal on the piano plays The Cascades by Scott Joplin.
Fabulous performance, and what a fab introduction into celebrating the boys' achievements. So I'm delighted to be announcing the prize winners this morning. I will announce them by category, so all of the boys who have won a prize in a particular category will all come up on the stage. If we can save our round of applause once all of the prize winners in that category have been announced, that would be brilliant. Thank you very much. So, on to the prizes. We'll start with subject prizes this morning. The Philpotts English prizes are awarded to Year 3, Oram Ganju, Year 4, James Workman, Year 5, Eben Clark, Year 6, Daniel Joai Burge, Year 7, Lucian Caron, and Year 8, Emir Jack Kenrick. The Fuller Mathematics Prizes are awarded in Year 3 to Cian Fanning, Year 4 Evan Byrne, Year 5 Oscar McCarthy, Year 6 Alex O'Carroll, Year 7 Rayhana Dill, and Year 8 Thomas Marnie. Science Prizes. Year 3, Daniel Zortone. Year 4, Charlie Southers. Year 5, Eben Clark. Year 6, Hugo Morgan. Year 7, Isaac Vincent Emery. And Year 8, Emir Jack Kenrick. The History Prizes for Year 5, Sebastian Bodfield. Year 6, Abe Raganath. Year 7, Dylan Uppel. Year 8, Lewis Woodhouse. The Geography Prizes. Year 5, Nikhil Dasgupta. Year 6, Maximilian Bereschinski. Year 7, Arthur Fitzpatrick. Year 8, Josh Lincoln. The RE Prizes. Year 5, Freddie Burton. Year 6, George McKenty. Year 7, Gabriel Borelli. And Year 8, Lewis Woodhouse. Language Prizes. For French in Year 5, Nikhil Dasgupta. Year 6, Hugo Morgan. Year 7, Gabriel Borelli. Year 8, Ralph Franklin. For German, Year 8, Alex Turner. For Latin, Year 6, Kaylin Standen. Year 7, Abid Wasif. Year 8, Tin Yang Wang. The Spanish Prize in Year 8, Ralph Franklin. And the English as an additional language for Year 8, Daniil Savilev. David Watley Prizes for Technology. In Year 3, Arthur Macy White. Year 4, Ellis Gosling. Year 5, Oscar McCarthy. Year 6, Max Blake. Year 7, Sam Keating Anderson. Year 8, Oliver Harris. Prizes. Year 3, Matt Barker. Year 4, Jackie Taylor. Year 5, Xavier Clark. Year 6, Hugo Morgan. Year 7, Jacob Adejeji. Year 8, Harry Burns. And the Sylvester Art Cup, Lewis Noble. The Music Prizes. Year 3, Michael Piercy Hughes. Year 4, Hugo O'Boyle. Year 5, Ilyas Hussein. Year 6, Chris Gentry. Year 7, Isaac West. And Year 8, Sam Yeomans. The Eva Favag Cup for Outstanding All-Round Contribution to Music goes to Aryan Sohampal, and the Drama Prize goes to Oliver Quince and Aryan Sohampal. The Sports Prizes. Captain of Rugby, Alex Turner. Captain of Hockey, Freddie Boas. Captain of Cricket, Alex Turner. And the Service to Bedford Prep School Sport Award goes to Benjamin Madford, Jack Down, George Knight and Alfred Williams. The prizes for all-round academic excellence. In Year 3, Tommy Barker, Oscar Craddock, Gashan Power, and Year 4, Tom Hanbury, Cuba Kopek, Matt Morgan, and Nayan Patney. Year 5, Leo Butler, Oliver Gibson, Henry Phillips, Austin Reddy, Charlie Tillison. Year 6, Matthew Byrne, Joshua Edmondson, Lucas Hill, Bora Osbey, and Joshua Sang. Year 7, Samalori Apesin, Daniel Lachey, Joshua McMurran, Arian Nair, Aston Teagerson, Isaac West. Year 8, Sam Bullymont, Isaac Ferguson, Issa Jamil, George Knight, Charlie Miller, Advik Mishra, Andrew Wright, and Sam Yeomans. The prizes for all-round academic progress. In 3C, Callum Smith. 3L, Ethan Ashley. 3W, Rupert McGuinness. 4O, Dylan Waterfall. 4P, Oscar Goodeve. And 4V, Joseph Ram. 5A, Ollie Hudson. 5DR, Ashley Bailey. 5RR, James Holt. 5SR, Ben Long. 6C, Harry Kenmore. 6H, Jake Woodrow. 6L, Jivan Sivasenthan. 6W, Alexander Woodhouse. AG, James Angus. 7B, Gus Wilson. 7EG, Lewis Pettingill. 7K, Henry Davidson. 7M, Arnav Tyagi. 8B, Marcus Pateman Hall. 8F, Sterling Smallwood. 8KD, Qasim Sheikh. 8L, Oliver Surley. And 8PD, Benjamin Madiford. Academic Performer Prizes. For Year 3, William Saunders. Year 4, Jeremy Dunn. Year 5, Jacob Scouten. Year 6, Chris Gentry. Year 7, Oliver Barber. And Year 8, Leo Matthew. House Award goes to Marcus Pateman Hall and Tin Yang Wang. So, the Arthur Tisdall Award, you will see in your programme that it's the only award that is announced on the day, and it goes to a Year 8 pupil who we feel really embodies the school's ethos. So the prize winner for the Arthur Tisdall Award this year is Joshua Lincoln. And the final award today is the Canon H.C. Perry's Prize for the Head Boy. And that, of course, is George Knight. Well done to all of our prize winners. That concludes the prizes. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for having me. So Mr. Silk asked me to come and just speak a little bit about my story and how I became a professional rugby player and some of the things that I've learned throughout my time there. Basically, I started at 13, started playing rugby quite late at 13. I was picked up by Northampton around 14, Northampton Saints, so very fortunate in that aspect. Up until 18, I was sacked by the Saints 3 times, so that was great. So the way it works with Northampton and the academies, when you get to 18, you're either awarded a contract or you're not. I was not awarded a contract. I was told, you're rubbish, get in the bin, see you later. I went, okay. So I had a choice to make. I had 2 options really. I wasn't into university, that wasn't for me. I was either going to join the military or give this a shot, rugby a shot for a year. So I decided to, I was very fortunate, Mum said, you can have a year, I'll support you for a year, another year, and I'll, some parents know what they're on about, so I'll support you for a year, give it everything, and if not, you can go to join the military and get out my hair. So for a year I managed to train on my own. It was very lonely. It was enjoyable in some aspects, but all my friends had gone to uni or gone on their gap year, having a world of a time around Thailand, and I'm Sixfields gym, just sweating away on my own. I went away and played rugby for a National 3 side called Rugby Lions, not too far from here, and I essentially annoyed my way into getting a contract. Every week I'd text the academy manager, who's Rob Hunter, he's now the Exeter forwards coach. I'd text him every week, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I haven't been beaten up this week. I've been brilliant, I'm trying to do this, basically just selling my soul to try and get a contract. And so essentially I annoyed him for a whole year, and it got to the end of the season. He'd given me a couple of appearances for their second team, it's called the Wanderers, for Northampton. Basically when no first teamer wanted to play up at Newcastle away on a Monday evening, I was your guy. Put me in, I'll travel 5 hours up on the bus, play 5 minutes and travel back. So essentially I annoyed my way, and it got to the end of the season. Quite fortunate we actually won that A-League. There was a second team competition that I was involved in. The next day thinking, right, better get my application in for the military because no one said anything. In regards to contracting, my year's up. Mum's looking at me asking for rent, so I got a call from Rob actually, and he said, look, would you like to come for a year, sign for a year, give it all you got and see what you got. I bit his hand off. It was definitely below minimum wage. I'm sure there'd be some issues legally with what I was paid, but it was a foot in the door, and that's all I needed. So that year, by pre-season was over, I think I'd signed 4 contracts where they just extended and wanted to keep me on for a little bit longer. So all I needed was that foot in the door, and that's when the hard work started, really. From there on, like Mr. Silk said, I managed to play over 330 times for the club, won the Premiership, various other trophies, been to tour New Zealand with the international squad, managed to play for the England Saxons, and you know, it's beyond my wildest dream to captain the club for 3 years. It's my hometown club. I'm from Northamptonshire, if anyone didn't know. So to sort of grow up watching the club and then be leading the club out as captain, leading the likes of Courtney Laws and Dan Bigger, trying to control Dan Bigger's temper is an interesting one. But no, some of these players, world-class players, looking to me as to what to do, and I'm like, well, don't really know, to be honest. But you know, you talk a good game, and it generally pays off. So when Mr. Silk asked me to do this, I thought, what's transferable? What got me to where I am that's transferable to you guys as students moving forward? You know, year 8's moving into the big school, and the kids here moving forward. So you know, I managed to narrow it down to 3 things that work for me, and how I managed to get to where I am at the moment. So the first one, as I touched on, was figuring out what I wanted, and I was obsessed with it. I wanted to play professional rugby. I wanted to play for Northampton Saints. I wanted to pull the shirt on. I just wanted 1 cap. That's all I wanted. That was the dream, just to get 1 cap, and to be fortunate enough to play as much as it has been brilliant. But nothing else mattered to me. I was obsessive. Now that might be a little bit extreme, but in a nutshell, figuring out what you want to do, and then you choose your path is the way that I went about it. And on the back of that, once I figured it out, hard work. I am by no means the most skillful player in that team by a long stretch. Some might almost say towards the bottom. Nor am I the most tactically sound, but what I will do is I'll work harder than anyone, and it's difficult talking about yourself, but when you're telling your story, you sort of have to. I will outwork everyone. That was my USP. If I'm not going to be the most skillful, if I'm not going to be the most tactically sound, I've got to be the hardest working. So that was it. So figuring out what I want to do, being obsessed with it, and hard work. And then the third one is something I've learned later in my career. It's more about mindset. When I was young, I was pretty gung-ho, and everything either was the best thing or the worst thing in the world. And I've had serious amount of knockbacks in the career, numerous surgeries. That comes part and parcel with life in professional sport. But knockbacks are going to happen in any aspect of life. And for me, there's three things that I go with. I work in threes. You'll work that on the front row. I can't count past that. So number one for me is this is when I do four now, isn't it? Number one, accept what's happened. You know, it's happened. You can't change it. There's no time machine yet that we know of, and so you can't change what's happened. You just got to move on with it. Learn from it, and with that, adapt if you need to, and then secondly, move forward. Once it's gone, it's in the past. As long as you learn from it, that's what matters. I always used to say with the lads when I was captain, mistakes are fine. The same mistake 2 or 3 times is not fine because you're not learning from that. And the fourth one is it's just it's separate really, but there was a cheap laugh there. Control the controllables. There's no point in worrying about stuff you can't control. That's out of your control. For me, I used to worry every time Stuart Lancaster or Eddie Jones would announce that England squad. I'd be like, gutted when I wasn't involved when I was playing well. And there's some great players that are playing there in the front row, so nothing against those boys, but you obviously want to play for your country. And I'd had a taste of it when we toured New Zealand, and then every time since, not announced, it'd just get me down for a week, 2 weeks, my form would go, and then, realistically, you're only going to get into the England squad if you're playing well. So control those controllables. Don't waste time and energy on the things that you have no say about. Now, Mr. Silk asked me to pass on some knowledge to the year 8s that are moving on, but having presented some of them the prizes, they're looking me in the eye, they'll do just fine. I don't know what you're feeding them here, but if I can have some, that'd be brilliant. But as George touched on, you've gone from being the big dogs in this school to you're going to be the puppies in the seniors. So, a couple of things that I speak to the academy boys about when they come in from their senior schools where they were top dog, and then they come into our environment and they're not so much. Is be confident, be respectful, but don't hold back. Just because you're the youngest doesn't mean your opinion doesn't matter. It doesn't mean you haven't seen something a different way that one of the seniors or the old heads, the ancient boys, have been doing for years. Doesn't mean that there's not a better way to be doing it. And to finish on that, I'd just like to say thank you very much for having me. Congratulations to all the prize winners. It's been a much less hostile welcome here than the last time I was here as a Wellingborough schoolboy playing against you guys out on the pitches. But I've thoroughly enjoyed my time, and congratulations again. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Alex, for such an insight into the world of such a successful rugby player. And how also, I really like the way you talked about how we can take his advice into our own lives, probably not just the boys, all of us, but especially our Year 8 boys. And I would just like to finish with a word directly to our Year 8s as they leave the next stage of their prep school education. We have enjoyed the privilege of seeing them grow and develop over the last 6 years. They have, as we've heard, have had impressive success in a number of fields. Their successes, though, have, except in a few rare cases, not been a result of having huge stars in any arena, but because they work well as a team and because they value the meaning of teamwork. And they've also, as we've heard already, shown impressive resilience. They were the first year group back into the school, in the first year of pandemic. And because of this, they've actually had more time in school than any other year group. And in fact, some of them have already been in the upper school, if they remember, because we had to place them in classes throughout the school, far away from each other as possible, so some have already been in the upper school. And I'd just like to give them just a word of advice about growing up and moving on of my own. But I am aware that teenage boys very rarely listen to advice. In fact, and this is one for all parents, Mark Twain famously said, "When I was a boy of 14, my father was so ignorant I could hardly stand to have the old man around. But when I got to be 21, I was astonished at how much he had learned in 7 years." So, with that in mind, a few bits of advice about growing up. Don't rush to grow up. Enjoy being young. Friends are important, and friendships will change. Spend time on the people who are really worth it, and never forget family. Don't try to be what everyone else wants you to be. Cool, if I'm allowed to use that word, is a matter of opinion. Saying no is okay. Don't cave to peer pressure. Challenge, as we've heard from Alex just now, is good. Embrace it. But you will not be the only one who is anxious about new things. Seek help if and when things get overwhelming. Stay open-minded to the ideas and thoughts of others. Trust your gut instinct, especially about things which don't feel right. Sometimes it is right to stand your ground. Sometimes it's fine to turn the other way and run. Learn the importance of listening, and thank you to all those who've done that this morning. Focus on the right things, boys, like kindness, integrity, and hard work, because if you do, they will always help you make the right decisions. And finally, and again epitomised by what Alex has just said, keep trying even when life is hard. In a second, I'm just going to ask the Year 8 boys to stand so we can give them a round of applause and wish them all the very best for their next stage. They have been brilliant and we will miss them. And boys, don't be shy about coming back to the prep school to say hello to us. So, boys, please stand. You can hear, boys, can't you? Everyone is really wishing you well in the upper school, so good luck. Right, we're going to now conclude with 2 readings from our deputy head boys. Firstly, Josh Lincoln, and then Advik Mishra.
J.K. Rowling on empathy from our Harvard commencement speech. Unlike any other creature on this planet, humans can learn and understand without having experienced. They can think themselves into other people's places. One of the many things I learned when studying classics was this. Written by the Greek author Plutarch, what we achieve inwardly will change outer reality. We don't need magic to change the world. We carry all the power we need inside ourselves already. We have the power to imagine better. And in the words of Seneca, as is a tale, so is life. Not how long it is, but how good it is what matters.
Excerpt from Denzel Washington's commencement speech at University of Pennsylvania. I found that nothing in life is worthwhile unless you take risks. Nelson Mandela said, "There's no passion to be found playing small and settling for a life less than one you're capable of living." Thomas Edison conducted 1,000 failed experiments. Did you know that? I didn't know that, because the 1001st was the light bulb. Fall forward. every failed experiment is one step closer to success. You've got to take risks. And I'm sure you've probably heard that before. But I want to talk to you about why that's so important. First, you will fail at something in your life. Accept it. You will lose. You will embarrass yourselves. There's no doubt about it. Here's my second point about failure. If you don't fail, you're not even trying.
Okay, so we've come to the end of speech day this year. I'm going to ask you to stand, please, so we can say the prep school prayer. Please stand. Heavenly Father, all good things come from you. Life and beauty, knowledge and true wisdom, love and friendship. Make our school a place where these good things are seen and shared and held in honour, that all we do and all we say may be worthy of you and of our forebears. This we ask in Jesus' name. Amen. If I don't see you over the next week or so, have an amazing summer. Thank you very much, everyone.